Welcome, welcome, welcome. You've tuned into WSGI 1100, and today you have me, Pat Samler, standing in for the infamous Lee Marie. And also, it's First Friday, so we have the Wild Doc with us. And I'm excited to hear what he has to talk to us about today. Um, do you have a couple of topics, or do you want to start with that, or do you want
I
to
think we
start
can
with
start with
questions?
the GI questions. I think those
Okay.
will probably lead into more and more discussion. We have various topics. So, do you want to read off the question, or should I just read it off if I can get it on my phone here real quick?
Yeah, if you
But how
wouldn't
you been
mind.
doing, Pat?
I'm I'm nervous because I've
Nervous.
never done this before.
Let everybody know that she's running the soundboard over there and all the things. There's lots of buttons and
Yes, a lot of
different
buttons.
colors. It's like they're kind of like I like the what are those like? They're not bright colors. They're not neon colors, but they're like
Just
nice, soft,
muted.
gentle. Yeah,
Yeah, trying to calm me down.
so kind of cool. So I might have to talk about stress a little bit and how we relieve stress by the end of this. We'll have some deep
We'll take
breathing,
on something you've
diaphragmatic
never done
breathing
before.
session here before we're done. All right. But welcome y'all out there. Do you want to do a quick prayer? Do we pray
Sure,
first?
yes.
Is that usually
Yeah,
what
I think
they
we
do?
usually do.
Yeah, let's do that. You forgot the most important.
Oh, Father, forgive us.
There we go. Start the prayer.
Father, we just thank you for this is a day that the Lord hath made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Father, we thank you for the wild dog. We thank you for, Lord, all his wisdom that you've given him, Lord, and how his compassion um, just for the multitudes, Lord, and that how he wants to help everyone. And Father, we just lift him and his family up today, and we ask that you would watch over them, bless them, protect them, keep them safe, and God, that you would just continue to pour out your spirit upon them, Lord. And Father, we just ask that every listener today would just be blessed with everything that they learn in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Awesome. Right. So I think I got from your text message the other day the couple questions. All right. So a couple questions came through. Can you do naturally if you are constantly having constipation issues? So, one, you need to forget all the stuff you've been taught on TV about nutrition and the benefits of fiber and what to eat to
Okay.
help constipation.
That's weird. I just heard this. Okay, go ahead.
You just heard this.
I just
Uh oh.
heard that
Move
fiber's not
just.
all it's cracked up to be or
Oh
something.
no, fiber is definitely not. Well, think about fiber. What does it do? Can we digest as human beings? Are our digestive tracts made to digest plant material and fiber? Are they really?
Don't know.
So when you look at like apes, baboons, animals that eat fiber, eat plant vegetation that are
Right.
kind of like similar in outside structure to us,
Yeah.
they have an elongated cecum, so an area of their digestive tract, all right, that they can actually, their bodies can better digest and absorb nutrition from fiber. Okay, so they have a different GI tract even than us.
Okay.
Look at animals that eat nothing but vegetation. Nothing but vegetation. Okay, deer, bison, cows. Look at their stomachs. They're called ruminant animals. They have multiple rooms inside of their.
Yeah, they have. Don't cows have double stomachs or something?
Yeah, they have multiple chambers,
Okay.
multi-chambered stomachs.
Hmm.
So, and then they regurgitate their food and then chew it again.
Okay.
Do you know any humans that do that? They're like,
No.
that fiber didn't really break down good enough. I better re-chew it. Now, there is a defense mechanism for animals in that situation. As a hunter, we know about and can understand. Those animals are there to like engorge themselves on all this fiber, moderately minimal chewing out there in the field. They want to get out there, consume a bunch of plant material, and they get back to safety. And then they lay down and then they digest. But still, the process of digestion and breakdown and then the absorption of those nutrients comes from ruminating on it and then these multi chambers mixing it very, very well, and then it ferments, and then they can extract the nutrition from it. All
Wow.
right. Do our stomachs do that?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay.
Mine doesn't.
So, just from the perspective of, and here's another way I put it here. So if you ever have a bowel movement and you were curious enough to look at what's in it, and you ate, let's say the classic one, corn.
Okay, yeah.
Comes out whole, you're like, that didn't digest at all. Why? Because of the fiber around it, and also the compounds within corn that are very, very strong in this negative influence on digestive tract. Not just for what you ate, not just the influence it has on the corn kernel itself, not allowing your body to digest it, but actually corn can significantly reduce, and same thing with other seeds, all right, and legumes. They can significantly reduce your absorption of the nutrition, the minerals especially, from other things you ate. So if you were to eat something that has a high amount of zinc, magnesium, copper, iron, you're going to have less absorption from that healthy food that was mineral dense, nutritious. You have less nutrition absorbed through your GI tract because you ate corn along with this nutritious meal. So you look at that, and then you look at, like, I always say one of the best experiments, or representation, is like you take an infant, you know,
Oh,
or a toddler when they start eating solids. When they start eating solids and you change their diaper, what are you seeing constantly in their diaper? You will see like the skin of grapes.
yeah.
You'll see fibers completely undigested. You'll see beans almost completely whole. You'll see I'll see raisins, so my kids eat a lot of fruits. It's usually some fruit skins. Blueberries. They'll eat a ton of blueberries, and it's like these skins of blueberries, but there's no flesh of the blueberry.
Right.
It's just like it's been skinned. It's like, how did they skin? And their bodies are better able to, our bodies, human bodies, my child's body is better capable of breaking down and absorbing the nutrition, the energy from the flesh of the fruit, not the high fiber material that is in the skin. Plus, the skin also has some of those compounds, less than like corn or seeds and things like that, but certain types of chemical compounds that are going to inhibit digestion. So inhibit breakdown makes it harder to. Well, that's because the skin of a fruit, the skin on an apple is there to protect it,
Right.
shield it from the external environment so it doesn't rot and break down, so it's still appetizing to the animal that walks by and consumes it. Well, what's the plant, the design of the plant, plants don't have minds or anything like that, but let's pretend real quick. Well, but it's still the way God designed it. God's like, well, I need the seed to be planted somewhere else so that then this continuous circle of growth, in life. So the seeds have a lot of those compounds that that want to be broken down and digested. So when we say we need like nuts, seeds, legumes, beans, we should eat all of those things, let's look at animals that primarily consume seeds, grains. What do we break down grains, wheat, we make breads, pasta, cereals, all that stuff. Okay. So let's look at an animal species that consumes a lot of seeds. Well, it's like birds, chickens. You ever butchered a chicken before?
When I was
I love that. There's like this facial expression. Like if you could only see what Pat's face just did. Uh,
I felt sorry for
It's
him.
like every kid needs to go through like a butchering course, so that they know how to butcher their own food, animals, things like that. And now there's probably PETA people out there listening to me like, yeah, what are you doing? But so I want you to visualize what their GI tract looks like. And so, if you've never gotten your hands in there, you probably may not know. But right above their like sternum, their chest, there's this big old pouch. And in turkeys, it's huge. This big old pouch. You want to get that out of there because it's got a ton of those nut seeds, whatever, corn, wheat, whatever they've been eating the seeds off the ground, some bugs and things like that, and a little bit of vegetation, not much vegetation. And this gets, well, it might have stones in there, but really the stones, a little gravel, that goes into their gizzard. But that pouch is a moist and warm environment. What does moisture and warmth do to seeds? Like a greenhouse. What do you put? Why do you use a greenhouse to do what in early spring or late winter?
Grow.
Yeah, to start the germination process. So moisture and warmth create sprouting of the seed. It triggers the seed to sprout.
Inside the,
Yep,
is it gullet?
it
Is that
can.
what they
Yep,
call it?
yep. So it triggers that process. So one, that actually converts a lot of those and breaks down a lot of those enzymes that would be used by that seed or needed for that seed to not be digested or broke down in nature and in the in the soil, so it doesn't rot. Well, that conversion, that chemical conversion that starts to occur, that would help them. That helps that animal absorb nutrition from it, and it converts some of the fats and things like that. It increases certain vitamins, minerals. So more vitamins than it does minerals. So you take that, then they grind it, and then they digest it. Okay. So, you know, if we really wanted to think about it, like how could we do the same if we want to extract nutrition, but our GI tract is not built? It is not built to do that internally. Whether it be a ruminant animal process of the way they extract nutrition from vegetation, plant material, leaves, versus, and then also the chicken that extracts nutrition and energy from seeds, nuts and seeds. So let's think about this. How would we do something similar? Well, why don't we take our grains and we sprout them, ferment them, and then we can consume them? There's actually, when they initially started using corn's a great example because of how detrimental it can be on the nutrition availability of our for us to absorb nutrition, vitamins, minerals. So they started supplementing diets around the world with corn, trying to feed the hungry. They had a lot of people die. They literally killed. I mean, the number is just, who knows? Some estimate millions. Like, that's like catastrophic.
Get nutrition from it?
Yeah, because on their diets that were lacking in bulk, they still could get minerals and nutrients from the animal-based proteins or fats or milks and things like that. They didn't have a wide variety, but they had a limited availability. And then we added corn to it, and they didn't process it appropriate. Like traditional processing of corn, I think it's like Haman or something like that. And you don't even have the outside shell, the coating, the skin on corn. You don't even have that in the meal anymore. They would ferment it. And by that fermentation, it would significantly reduce the negative effects of those chemical compounds in corn that would bind to nutrients and minerals and not allow you to absorb them. So these people were going very nutrient deficient and then ultimately dying of nutrient deficiency despite consuming more calories in bulk. So then they started fortifying. That's what fortifying came about. Well, we better not kill people if we feed them this stuff. So let's fortify it with zinc and iron and all these minerals. So if we just put a ton of that in there in isolated form, maybe they'll get enough and they won't die from the corn. That's kind of what happened. So,
Wow.
so on the constipation, so that's like nutrition. I want people to be healthier. So that's why I kind of talk and emphasize nutrition. And people are like, well, what do I eat now? And we'll talk about that. But let's take a study on measurements. So background real quick, why there was this idea that fiber was healthy. Okay, fiber bulks. Okay, it bulks up a stool. So first of all, when somebody's constipated, what are they having a difficulty doing? Eliminating. What's the process of that elimination? You're trying to get something through a small hole.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, does it make logical sense that there is benefit in bulking, increasing the size of something, when you're having a difficulty getting something through a small hole?
I wouldn't think so.
Okay. You wouldn't think so. So that's like one of the most common sense like questions I ask people, like when they're like dealing with constipation. Like, I heard you're supposed to take fiber. Should I take fiber for my constipation? And I'm like, well, let's think about this logically. When the freeway's backed up in Nashville, should we add more cars to it? Is that going to help it?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
When you're backed up, should you bulk up what you're trying to eliminate? So there was a study, and ironically, it's this. A lot of it comes back to the food industry And I'm not the farmers, but how do we sell a major product, a major production item
Yeah.
in this country? You know, hopefully there'll be other ways to do and make money for our farmers and stuff like that. And there would be if they would convert their fields into regenerative farming and things like that. Yeah, it's going to be, a stress on them, but that's what I would encourage.
Yeah.
But food industry really took hold of certain studies, like, oh, it's better if you bulk it up. Oh, it produces when fermentation by the bacteria in your gut produces these short chain fatty acids. They're anti-inflammatory, but the short chain fatty acids, the fat that is created by the bacteria from fermentation of the fiber, well, the fat is then used for energy, but it's converted to ketones by your gastrointestinal tract. So then that's how the ketones actually are what decrease inflammation in the GI tract. So they took and did enemas of ketones, because that's the energy source for your gastrointestinal tract, which it's fat that's converted into ketones. Okay. Or they did supplemental oral ketones. Which one decreased inflammation more? So many people have gastrointestinal discomfort, pain, constipation because they're swollen. Like the muscle of their colon is swollen. It's like if you have a swollen ankle, does it move and work as well? Can you jump as high when your ankle's swollen? No. Even if there is no pain, if it's swollen, it's tight.
Yeah.
So it has no ability to contract well. Okay. So when we see that, the oral ingestion of ketones, which our body should produce it during like things with like a low carbohydrate, low fiber, low sugar diet, we produce those ketones and our gastrointestinal tract would, and it reduced the inflammation better than the ones that went through the enema. All right. So that's one thing that you got to think about, like, okay, so what is actually beneficial? And so again, they say fiber is beneficial because the bacteria ferments it and then it converts it to these fats, and then these fats are converted to ketones, and that's anti-inflammatory. Well, why not just produce the ketones within your body?
Yeah.
Skip a step. Or why not just eat the healthy fat that then can be immediately converted into ketones rather than having them converted by the bacteria, which when they ferment, what happens to beer and wine or any type of fermentation? What do you have to do to the container that you're fermenting something in? On top, there's a what?
Seal it up, right?
No. If you seal it, what happens to the container? You want to know what happened to a friend of mine?
No,
Well, he was
no
actually a
idea.
teacher. He was a college professor. He taught us how to ferment beer. I mean, it was a science class. I mean, it was talking about
Okay.
fermentation and stuff like that. Well, he's telling us this story about how he's like, I was a poor college student, so, I didn't want to buy beer, but I still wanted to drink with my buddies. So he would make beer under his sink in his dorm room.
Oh,
So
wow.
in these jars, well, one of them, there's a spout that has like an S hook to it,
Uh-huh.
so that you have water in there and nothing can get in, but air can escape. Because as it ferments, it creates gases, and these gases have to escape. Well, the hole got plugged up, and he like went away for a weekend or something, and he came back, and the doors were blown off his sink
Oh my God.
cupboard.
Oh my gosh.
Like wide open, hanging there, and there was mold everywhere because it just the
Oh.
bottle, exploded because it built up
Oh.
pressure.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, or anybody out there,
Do you
think
wanna
about this.
explode?
So if you're fermenting something, you're producing gas, gas expands. Does it feel good when you're
No.
bloated?
No.
And again, if you take something that's a muscle that should contract and move to push things through, but then you have air
Yeah.
inside,
Blocked it.
it's like if you had a long tube balloon and you needed to squeeze something through it, to get it out the other end, but then you blew it full of air and you trying to squeeze it to get to the hard stuff to get it out. What's going to happen to the ability to push it out the other end?
Not good.
Okay, so are you following me here?
Yeah.
Like, do you see this idea that fiber is beneficial?
Okay, so what should we be doing?
Well, let's look at this study. It's titled Stopping or reducing dietary fiber intake reduces constipation and its associated symptoms. So we're just talking about constipation right now. Okay.
Mhm.
Eat a no fiber diet. So in this study,
No fiber diet.
so people who had severe constipation, all of them, 100% of people had constipation in this study.
Okay.
That was the title. You can look it up. You can read it. 100% of them had constipation. Some of them had bleeding. A lot of them had bloating, pain, like there's a category of all these symptoms. So they took one arm and most of them, because of the general, what do we call it? It's not knowledge, because knowledge is actually an understanding of truth.
Right.
And science. Propaganda. There you go. Because of the propaganda of the cereal industry,
Yeah.
And so they were eating moderately high fiber diets because they thought fiber was good for the GI tract. And they all had GI, and they were told by the medical doctors that fiber is essential and needed. Well, they put one on an increased fiber diet. You want to know what happened to the length of time between bowel movements when they increased their fiber? The amount of bleeding,
Oh my gosh,
the amount of bloating, like every symptom increased, got worse on the highest fiber, the increase over what they were already consuming. When they made them supplement with more fiber, it actually got worse.
Wow. So what are things we should avoid that are high fiber?
Well, where do you? So wait.
Cereal, obviously.
All right.
Okay.
So the low fiber. So to reduce the fiber, where does fiber come from? Where do you get the most amount of fiber from? What most people will eat?
Grains and stuff.
Grains and stuff, especially those that are fortified with more and extra fiber.
Yeah.
Okay. Like what are those? Wheats, or what are those little ones that look like checkerboards, like Wheaties or whatever? Yeah. Don't eat your Wheaties, folks, if you got bloating and constipation. But so you limit what else has real fibrous, tough material. Back to the diaper analogy.
Let me think.
What comes out? It's the skin. It's the hardest material of the plant or the legume or the tuber or things like that. Oranges do have a decent amount of fiber. It's funny because like my toddler will chew the orange up really well, but then spit out all the fiber. She's like, I want the juice. That's it. I know. That's what I always say. I'm like, man, they were intuitive. They know. So, but it's a lot of plant material. Your cruciferous vegetables, like the stringy celery, has a lot of fiber in it, but it also has a lot of water in it, that type of thing. I don't know if it's you or me or what.
I don't know.
I think that was me, actually. I'll turn my ringer off. I think it was Lee Marie, actually. Let's make sure.
Let's make sure we're...
Pat's mic needs to be turned up a little bit. She may be just looking at me, and that's why it's... Yeah, there you go. It's like you got to bring that arm around right in front of you so you're looking at me. So lowering the fiber. So everybody had problems, put them on high fiber. Everybody had worse problems, put them on low fiber. Everybody got better.
Okay.
Now, they had an arm that had a no fiber diet. How do you achieve a no fiber diet?
Carnivorous diet?
Carnivore diet.
Carnivore.
So plants, fruits, nuts, seeds, that's where you get all your fiber. There is not fiber.
But we're always told vegetables and fruits are so healthy.
I know.
Like everybody's going vegetarian and vegan and all this stuff.
So to think that, the problem, the way the studies are designed, if we take a population of individuals within the United States who have health problems and are eating the standard American diet, which is high starch carbohydrate, high inflammatory foods, high rancid vegetable oils, fats that are not healthy for the body or have actually oxidized, artificial junk, lots of sugar, fake butters. So they're eating that. Yeah.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason. The week-long ceasefire now over. Israel has resumed its attacks on Hamas in Gaza. The Israeli bombing campaign followed a warning to civilians. Leaflets were dropped, and it came after Hamas rockets were fired into Israel. The House will vote today on expelling embattled New York Congressman George Santos. A House Ethics Committee found Santos had engaged in the improper use of campaign funds, and he has been indicted for that, although Santos insisting he has done nothing wrong, casting himself as a victim. Things got a bit heated at times. Last night's televised debate between Florida GOP governor and presidential candidate Ron DeSantis and California Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom, who is not a declared presidential candidate. Watching Wall Street, the Dow futures down 11 points, NASDAQ futures off 45. More details, srnnews.com.
With SRN Sports, I'm Michael Harrington. We're going to start with NFL Thursday Night Football. The Dallas Cowboys extend their home winning streak to 14 games. Dak Prescott threw 3 touchdown passes, and they rallied for a 41-35 victory over the visiting Seattle Seahawks. Prescott's 12-yard pass to Jake Ferguson put Dallas in front with 4.5 minutes remaining. Cowboys set up a rematch with NFC East rival Philadelphia by escaping what would have been their first loss since falling to the Eagles 28-23 to start November. Geno Smith threw 3 TD passes to DK Metcalf, including a 73-yarder, as the Seahawks got their offense going again, but Seattle couldn't avoid a third consecutive loss, dropping to 500 on the season. In other NFL news, Bills linebacker Von Miller has turned himself into police in a Dallas suburb after he was charged in a warrant with domestic assault against the mother of his children, who is pregnant. This is SRN Sports. Lots of action in the NBA yesterday. It was the Trail Blazers over the Cavaliers, 103-95. Charlotte 129, Nets 128.
In the heart of Springfield Square, former location of Birdette's Tea Shop, lies Curated Collections, a unique furnishing boutique, which not only carries absolutely beautiful accent pieces, but also houses one of our area's top designers, Carol Carter. Come meet Carol and find out how she can customize your home. Frame a view, soften a room, add depth, dimension, and interest. With a large line of upholstered fabrics, she can reach.
In the National Hockey League yesterday, Penguins 4, Lightning 2. It was the Red Wings over the Blackhawks.
Recover 5-1. Any piece of
Florida
furniture.
5,
She does
Montreal
custom.
1. The Bruins shut out San Jose 3-0. It was Toronto 4, Seattle 3 in a shootout. The Devils needed the extra period to beat Philadelphia 4-3. Islanders in overtime defeating Carolina 5-4. Oilers over Winnipeg.
With the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Bill Alexander. As holiday shoppers return items purchased during Black Friday and Cyber Monday online shopping sprees, more U.S. retailers could tell them to keep the items that cost more to ship back than they are worth. Many retailers are offering so-called returnless or keep-it policies. U.S. consumer spending rose moderately in October, while the annual increase in inflation was the smallest in more than 2.5 years. Signs of cooling demand that bolstered expectations. The Federal Reserve's interest rate hiking campaign was over. Kroger has cut its annual sales forecast at a time when demand has come under pressure from consumers keeping a tight lid on spending. A New York appeals court Thursday reinstated a gag order that barred former President Donald Trump from commenting about court personnel after the former president repeatedly disparaged a law clerk in his New York civil fraud trial. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Bill Alexander in Washington.
Hours are Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Curated Collections is located at 618 South Main Street, Springfield, Tennessee. For more information, call 615-681.
Either double up on ads the next time or something if we can't figure out the ads.
We may have to. That was Curated Collections, though, and they're one of our sponsors.
Yeah.
We wanted to hear from them, but
There's
I can't quite get this to work. I'm not sure what's happening. So anyway, we'll just continue.
Apologize, help them out, get them on some others. So, all right, where were we? What were we talking about? Still the constipation,
Okay,
the low fiber diet. Like literally, it had so since constipation was the primary goal of understanding this. So to eliminate 100%, you would have to eat fat and protein.
Okay.
Okay, so an animal-based fat and protein diet. That was it. Now, if you want to eat a healthy animal, it's a key component to a healthy animal-based diet.
Harder to find, right?
Yep. Got to find your local farmers who grass-fed, grass-finished, ideal, most healthy fatty acid ratio. All right, so the fat is actually beneficial. Okay. In the future, if you want, we can go through studies that show that the consumption of cholesterol doesn't increase cholesterol. Okay, again, old wives' tale.
And I've just heard things about cholesterol too. That
it wasn't the wives; it's an old pharma tale. It's not a wives' tale. It wasn't the wives that told us. Why do they blame the wives? You know what I mean? Like an old wives' tale. So something that's not true. Let's call it a wives' tale. It's all them wives who are lying. You know,
lying.
Sorry, squirrel. So that's the diet. The people who are on the no fiber diet had on average, and these were people who dealt with constipation.
Okay.
The individuals, when they were put on a no fiber diet, had on average 1 bowel movement per day. Okay. Bloating completely decreased because you're not fermenting anything, so no gas is being produced. You're reducing the inflammation because the healthy fat.
And this is just
converted to ketones.
Carnivore diet?
Carnivore diet. Wow. I mean, that's what the study shows. I know there's a lot of people who be like, I don't believe this guy.
You've always been told that it'll bulk up. You know, you eat too much meat, right? Bulk up. It bulks you up.
So why does the research, and you look online, say that the way to bulk up a stool is to eat fiber?
Oh, I'm so confused. Well,
you're getting information from people who love the idea of a plant-based diet.
Wow.
To show me the science. That animal protein and fat is going to bulk up in the diet and just stick to your colon. Yeah. Show me that.
Yeah. Well, I know, and I'm just a testimony, but you had me go on a carnivore diet. Pretty much that was it because I was so what was it? Food sensitivity?
You're sensitive to a lot of things. A lot of things irritated. You've dealt with health and GI problems, right. So you became sensitive to a lot of things because you couldn't break it down. You had a lot of inflammation in your GI tract. You basically had open wounds, so you got this blood circulation of the proteins and antigens that make up the foods, that you were eating, and so all these things were just your immune system was like, I got to get rid of this. It's getting in my bloodstream. It shouldn't if your colon and digestive tract was healthy. So we had to eliminate things that were going to create inflammation in your body.
And being on that for like 9-10 months or whatever, pretty much almost all carnivore. I mean, I had a little bit of veggies here and there, but and I mean, it definitely helped. And I lost weight like not even trying.
Yeah. So they did a study with rats, mice, germ-free mice. Right, mice is what they're called, and they had obese ones and skinny ones. All right, so then they took the microbiome from them, okay, and then so they took a germ-free mice, ones that had no bacteria at all in their system. Okay. Then they took obese mice and skinny mice and took the bacteria from the intestinal tract and did what's called a fecal transplant. So they took the feces from these mice, the obese ones, and transplanted it into some germ-free mice that had no bacteria. And they took the skinny and transplanted it into some other mice that were germ-free and observed what happens. Well, what happened was the obese mice, their bacteria, when fed the standard diet, actually were more capable. They had a greater capability of harvesting energy from fiber. And the total energy absorption was much, much greater. So the bacteria makes a difference, but also but these were similar strains to the thin, but because they're in this environment of fiber, they harvest it more. So the microbiome does make a difference. That's why some people are lucky and some people are unlucky with their ability to lose weight despite what they eat, things like that. So there is this dilemma there. But then guess what? If you take somebody who has a microbiome that is like the obese mice, that is like the obese. You have the profile of the microbiome. You have the bacteria that helps you become obese. Wow. Well, where'd they get all the extra energy from? Fiber. They were really good at harvesting energy from fiber.
Wow.
So if you have that bacteria, what's one way to get rid of the available energy. Stop eating fiber.
Wow.
This is the research studies on gastrointestinal health, obesity, things like that.
Wow.
Now, people are like, well, fiber, it helps with the diabetic, right? That's the person who needs it because it helps slow down the spike in sugar, right?
Right.
Well, yeah. It's an anti-nutrient. Slows down digestion, slows absorption. Guess what? I'll compare any day somebody on a ketogenic carnivore diet compared to the person who's eating the standard American diet and just taking a fiber supplement. Because that's what they did in the study. Keep eating what you're eating, junk, but we're going to put you on a fiber supplement. Oh, the sugar came down just a little bit. Oh, that's really good for them. Really good. How many points? Not enough to make a difference. They're still diabetic.
Wow.
Do you follow me?
Yeah.
So then fiber is really good for you. And they grab a hold of this. It's really good. It could lower your sugar by 10 points. 10 points, that's it? I can lower it by 50% if I put you, or greater if I put you on a ketogenic carnivore-based diet.
Yeah. Because people don't realize that it's not just refined sugar, although that's the worst.
Yeah. Oh, horrible.
But it's also carbs, right? Like
carbohydrates, starches, things like that can as well. Yep.
Sugar in your system or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Especially the processed carbohydrates, bread, cereals, pastas, things like that. Yeah.
The good stuff.
I know, the tasty stuff. So that's the research. That's the evidence, And then there's a component.
If you're constantly having issues with constipation,
hit the diet, change the diet.
Try to go mostly carnivore.
And then there's the components, like we really hammered nutrition and what items to eat and the myth of fiber. You have to look at stress.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to look at, because stress inhibits gastrointestinal motility. If you need to run from a tiger, I don't care if you needed to go poop right now and then tiger gets loose, you're going to be constipated. Or you're just going to be like pooping yourself as you run away. It's either it moves way too fast or you cannot go. It'll be hours after you calm down that you're finally like, oh, I had to go poop. And now I remember. Because it's the nervous system. Right. Rest and digest. I had a toddler come in, I think it was Wednesday. So I had a mom come in, and she came in because she was dealing with some pretty bad back pain, like horrible back pain. She's pregnant. She's got like 3 more weeks to go.
And right there.
She just had horrible back pain. And so she comes in, we're getting her adjusted, and we're just having a conversation. And, I'm teaching her about chiropractic, what it does and how it optimizes, neurological, musculoskeletal function for you to have a healthy birth and pregnancy. And I was kind of going a little bit more because this is a friend of my wife's, and my wife was like, I've been trying to convince her for years to come into you. Right. And she finally does, but she's one that only takes it serious once, it's bad enough. So she's coming in. Yeah. Take it easier on her. I didn't take it easier on her. I was like, this is why you no. But it was a very friendly conversation. But then it luckily, guess what? The conversation went all the way to the point where they're like, you know what? Do you have time? Can we get our toddler, our little boy, adjusted? He doesn't sleep well. Wow. He's a horrible sleeper, always has been. And he doesn't poop well either. He's constipated.
Wow.
I adjusted that kid one time that day with that mom. The mom's like, as soon as we got home, he had to get out of the car and go poop. And it was one of the best and biggest bowel movements we've ever seen.
Wow.
Then he slept great and woke up one time, but it was like 4 or 5, 6 in the morning. It was like early morning. He finally woke up. She's like, he never does that. So when you look at the effects of chiropractic care, when we remove spinal misalignments that are creating or fixations or improper movement of the joint of the spine, it creates stress in the system. Simple way of saying it. And that stress is like a tiger. It doesn't allow you to rest and digest. Right. So by the adjustment, we removed a stressor, caged the tiger, and the kid could rest and he could digest. So his GI worked better and he rested better.
That's amazing. Wow.
So that's another thing. So I'll have people that I'll work with, and sometimes they change diet. They've done a lot. They've done the carnivore. They still just don't. So there's a condition that is similar like paralysis of the colon. They show it, and there's individuals that have like neurodegeneration of their colon, neurological degeneration, decreased nerve fiber activity of their colon, so then they can't contract all the muscle fibers.
Ew.
So it's almost like they're paralyzed to a degree.
Oh.
I've helped so many people with those types of conditions.
Is that from being misaligned mainly, or
misalignments? I've seen quite a few of them that when their history is like forever, no matter what diet I try, just chronic constipation. Seen some with birth defects of their sacrum, abnormalities of their sacrum. That was actually me. I had IBS or constipation. I eat really spicy foods. I could get horrible pain, discomfort, and runny stools. But chiropractic put me on a regular schedule.
Wow.
And I'll be honest, in chiropractic school, I thought the teaching even was like fruits and vegetables, so the primary in your diet, reduce the grains. Okay, we did that. I still ate my deer meat, but I did reduce fat. And honestly, I mean, I was healthier than my standard American Tostino pizza rolls and, macaroni and cheese.
It's called the SAD diet.
Yeah, exactly. Standard American diet.
Yeah.
SAD diet. So, I mean, I was healthier by getting away from the standard American diet, but then I am even healthier now with more energy, more vitality, just, greater hormonal levels, all those things now that I've really said, you know what, I'm going to reduce the fiber, I'm going to reduce the plant-based, reduce the seeds, legumes, things like that, eat them on like a treat. There's enjoyment to some of those foods. Yeah. But sometimes I know I'm going to enjoy it today, but I'm going to regret it tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
So like, for instance, like, because we always hear like, eat the rainbow, right?
Yeah.
And blueberries, raspberries,
So there's the fruits. I'm okay with them.
They're okay.
On someone with a very severe, poor digestion, other physiological factors playing in, they may not do as well on the fruits even. So on extreme cases, you may have to go more strict carnivore, but you got to eat healthy animals.
Yeah.
Now, another thing about dairy. So a lot of people on a carnivore diet, they still persist with constipation. You got to look at dairy.
Okay.
So there are individuals who, the way their body, just the breakdown for most people. So have you ever heard that opioid drugs, like pain medications, can cause constipation?
I think I have. It's kind of, doesn't it paralyze?
Yeah. So it creates, like it affects the nervous system and downregulates that nervous system ability to contract the muscle.
Yeah, makes sense.
So it kind of does that. So opioids do that. So what's interesting is casein, when broken down and digested, can actually, the molecule is similar to an opioid. That's why some people love dairy, addicted to dairy. But some people get constipation on dairy.
Interesting.
It's one of the mechanisms. So then if you need to, you may not be the one who can consume butter or cheese and dairy products on a carnivore diet, even though it's a no-fiber diet. Yeah. But the effects, neurologically speaking, from that chemical compound, when breaking down casein into the molecule similar to an opioid.
If somebody loves dairy, let's say, milk or whatever, do you recommend like oat milk or almond milk or any of that stuff? Okay.
No, you're concentrating a lot of those chemical compounds that would reduce nutrient absorption.
Okay. So there's kind of nothing.
No. I used to. I mean, I have videos that I want to be like, I need to personalize censor, not just YouTube censoring all my stuff. I need to censor it. And this is research. I'm talking to you about research, and then I'm adding in a little common sense. So we take that. That's the application of this understanding is what I do for my clients all day long. Work on their nervous system, work on their stress. If you're in a stressful environment, you may not have as frequent. You may not have that daily bowel movement, even when you're on a carnivore diet.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I heard something the other day about if you aren't going at least once a day, you increase your
risk of breast cancer.
Or cancer, period, I guess, colon cancer or whatever.
Yep.
And so,
I have a study on the paralytic style colon. They did the barium on swallows and on individuals with precancerous, cancerous tissue in the breast tissue. And they would see, okay, that's the area of the colon that's not moving right. Again, chiropractic says, let's optimize and open all pathways that we can. Open the spine. That's how the brain communicates. The nervous system is the brain, spinal cord, channeling energy through those nerves. The nerves and the spinal cord are all inside your spine, those bones, into the digestive tract, into the heart, into the lungs, into every organ of your body to allow it to work right, to allow it to be as strong as it needs to be. You need that energy through the nervous system. Chiropractic opens up those pathways. This is a simplistic explanation. This is not the exact scientific. It's more about balance and tone of the nervous system than it is like a blockage. But for the purpose of explanation, you shift a bone out of alignment, you put pressure on a nerve, that nerve can no longer send the signal, the appropriate signal to that area of the colon. So if you slice the nerve that goes to an area of the colon, it's going to paralyze it.
Right. It's not going to work.
So in this study, they did a barium swallow, and then they did the x-rays, and they monitor where it gets stuck, where it doesn't move well.
Okay.
And then they did a colectomy. So they went in and cut out that area of the colon that was paralyzed. Guess what they did to the precancerous, cancerous tissues in the breast? They didn't have to cut the cancer out.
I don't know.
It went away.
Really?
So cutting a portion of their colon out allowed for faster transit, greater detoxification. Now, am I telling people before you have chemo and radiation, go have portions of your colon cut out? Oh. Not necessarily, but I kind of like, if I had to choose one or the other, I might choose, hey, can I do a quick barium swallow real quick? And I want to see if there's any area in my digestive tract that is not moving efficiently, because that's going to decrease detoxification. And if they find it and be like, you can take chemotherapy and it's going to wreck your whole system. Wow. Or we'll just cut this area out. I'd probably select the surgery if I had to. Or I might say, let me try some chiropractic, redo that barium enema, and if it's moving more efficiently, and when there's full blown cancer, like these weren't full blown like stage 4 cancer patients. Right. These were precancerous, cancerous beginning stages of cancer. Like that's the study, So taking that into account, I'm not saying that that's what I would do for just a stage 4 cancer patient. There's a whole lot of other things that I would want the person to do that would enhance and optimize the function of their body, their detoxification pathways, their immune system, supporting their nutrition, doing all the things that are going to optimize their health. And with greater health, and there's going to be better opportunity for that person to survive, and whatever treatment strategies they add on to this healthy enhancing, protocol, they can, We had one more question. I don't want to neglect that one other individual's question, whether they're listening or not.
Okay. We've got 8 minutes left, and I got to mention our sponsors at the end, so I need at least 3 minutes. So we got 5 minutes.
Gotcha. Where was that other one? Pat Samler. There we go. Yeah, the other question was, is if a male has aches or pains in the testicular area, what should he do? All right. Rubber band. No, kidding. Just get rid of them. No, there's actually people that have phantom pain.
Really?
So even if we amputated,
oh, wow.
You may not do away with the pain.
Oh, that's weird.
People can have amputations, of an arm or leg,
I've heard
or
of
the
that,
body,
actually.
and then they still have pain. Chiropractic's been shown to help those people.
Wow.
With the phantom pain.
Wow. That's
so
amazing.
I've helped multiple individuals, multiple men who had pain upon erection. Like it hurt to get an erection. That would be like the worst thing ever. Or pain in the groin or testicle, like a shooting pain down into one of their testicles. And how did I do it? I didn't touch anything down there. All I did was adjust their low back, their sacrum, where the nerves.
Appreciate that more.
Yeah, right? Their nerves. They go to an MD and he's like fondling and being like, oh, I can't see anything wrong. There's no cysts or, abscess or a hernia.
Right.
They're going to look for all of that. And, that's a service. But I'm like, I'm glad.
No, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, right? I want to make sure my nerve pathways, and I'm not pinching a nerve that creates a shooting pain. People understand that they pinch nerves in their lower back. The most common nerves are going to cause like the sciatic pain.
Yeah.
Pain that shoots down your leg.
Right.
So if they've got shooting pain into that area, it's like, well, let's check where the nerves from your sacrum go into the testicles.
Okay.
And realign sacrum and pelvis. Helped many men with that.
That makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm just going to say this because, I've had this. I would highly recommend for anybody out there that if you're dealing with anything chronic or, you just have issues that you can't, I would highly recommend getting together with the Wild Doc. He does actually, what do you call it when you get your analysis or whatever when you meet with
Yeah, so we
patients?
call it kind of a functional assessment.
Functional assessment.
So
And
we're going to assess how you're functioning.
yeah,
So we have a long, drawn-out discussion, where you are, what's your history. I want to hear your story. I want to know.
right,
We have to figure out what brought you to this point in life where your health is now where it's at.
right.
That is the cause.
And he makes appointments outside of his regular chiropractic
Yep. I'm like the
times.
technician by hand, like a mechanic. Got to get in there and work on things physically during the hours of adjustments, and then off hours, it's my time to have sit down,
Consultations.
one-on-one consultations, really drive down.
Yeah.
What are the factors that have brought you and caused you to be in the health you're in now? That's where you figure it out, and then testing be done to figure out what's the weakest, what's the most emergent situation, what are the critical things that we've got to correct first, build a strong foundation, and then from there, enhance and optimize function.
Right. So I recommend that because I've done that at least twice, I think. I've had consultations with you, and it's helped so much. And, he takes his time and just, sit with you for an hour or sometimes and just get all the information and figure out, pinpoint what's going on and how to rectify it. So
Yeah.
I really, really recommend that. As well as all his other services. I just want to mention, since I don't want to play the ads because I can't seem to do it. Our sponsor, Southside Pharmacy Drugstore, is amazing. They have great little breakfast nook area where you can go in and have lunch or breakfast, and just a friendly place to go to. Been in there many times. And obviously, curated collections, we definitely want to bring them up since their ad didn't get to play. And I want to invite all of you, to come out Saturday morning, tomorrow morning. Pleasant View has their parade. And so they're going to be, I think it's at 10 o'clock, and at 10:30 to 12:30, our office at Century 21 Landmark. They're right off of Highway 41A, right before you get to Golly G's. If you just come in, if you're coming from Springfield, you go down 49, take a left on 41, and right before you get to Golly G's, that's where we are. And we're going to have, you can come in after the parade, get warmed up, have some apple cider, some coffee, and we have some goodie bags and cookies, and just get to meet some really cool people. And also, we have a $500 Walmart gift card drawing. So wouldn't that be awesome if you happen to be the one to win that right before Christmas?
Right?
That'd be great.
Yeah.
So anyway, just want to invite you to that. And, just thank you guys for tuning in this morning to WSGI at 1100. And Wild Doc, I appreciate you so much. And do you know next time we're together is going to be 2024?
Oh my gosh.
Can you guys believe it?
Insane.
It's going to be another year. So it's crazy. But anyway, we will see you next year in Wild Doc.
Sounds good.
And you guys make your appointments. Like I said, if you have something chronic going on, you need you definitely need.
Wild Roots Wellness is the office name of the office there in Clarksville. And then the phone number is 931-591-2010. Again, that's 931-591-2010.
There you go.
Let's optimize your health.
Yes. All right, guys. Have a great day. God bless you, and we'll see you soon. Lee Marie will be back next Wednesday on The Go Show.
If you're a Christian, people around you will start to see it in your life. Here's how Nancy DeMoss-Wolgemuth explains it.
The expectation of Jesus is that those who are in Him, those who belong to Him, those who believed on Him, will produce fruit, good fruit, spiritual fruit, the fruit of Jesus.
This is Revive Our Hearts for Friday, December 1st. I'm Dana Gresh, and our host is the author of Surrender, The Heart God Controls, Nancy DeMoss-Wolgemuth.
This past fall, we had a landscaper come over to our house and just to walk through our property and assess what things need to be done. I've been in that home for over 30 years, and there were just some things that needed to be trimmed back and some plants that started out small but had grown gargantuan. And I just said, Dan, can you come over and take a look and let us know what needs to